Well, hi guys. It is Monday the 10th? I'm not sure. Just a minute, I'll be right back. Okay, I had to look. It is the 9th of November. Right now it's about 75 degrees. We've had some really nice warm days the past week, and I managed to get everything cut. Unfortunately, over here I run mud, and that was because the ground was covered with grass and dead weeds. So I had the 1850 hooked to the molding disc, and I've been across all this once just to get it broke up, to get the ground uncovered. It's the only reason I dissed it. It's not for fall tillage reasons or get on for next year. It is literally to make it to where next spring this will dry, because if you leave this soil covered, it will not dry out. It's just the way this stuff is. Across the road it's totally different. Now when I cut the beans across the road, I didn't cut in anywhere. Oh yeah, the neighbor is spraying. It is a windy day. Now guys, don't get your panties in a bunch about me showing this. This is pure coincidence. As you can see, it's a windy day. You can hear it. Sorry for the wind noise. But I managed to get across all this ground over here, cut ruts in it, and I got them disced up. It's disced in, disced up. The ground is open, the ground is uncovered, so it's good to go for the winter. Kind of give you an idea what the ground cover was like. Just like that. Thick mat on top that sun can't get to the ground. And if the sun can't get to this ground, it does not dry, it holds water. Now the ground across the road is a different soil type, and it's a lot more forgiving. This is a whole lot different. But I didn't take any video of disking, mainly because I was having an issue with the 1850. I'll go into that in the video on the 1850. But to be November the 7th, it's 75 degrees, breezy as all get out. I've got a lot done. Everything is just about put up in the barn. We've got rain heading our way for this evening and tomorrow morning, and the cold front coming through, so this time tomorrow we'll be lucky to be into the upper 50s. So I'm taking advantage of a good day, the last good day, and get a bunch of little stuff done. So we'll see you next time, guys, and as always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. My tillage work is done for the year. Combine is all done now. And I'm looking forward to a better 2021. And this is a good start for this ground for next year. Just getting it turned like this. It's rough as a cob, but it's turned. Rains we get this winter, it'll mellow out good. Next spring we come in, I'll be good to go. So we'll see you next time, guys. Oh, hi guys. Said in another video I'd get into this. Now, on the 1850, since getting the new injector pump put on, well, when it was down there was some work done to it. The bolt on the camshaft had gotten loose, and the keyway and the gear, the key itself, between the gear and the shaft, the key got eat up. So while Harry had this thing apart, I might as well go into the whole thing. According to my book on this tractor, under this injector pump on this particular old style 354, there's a bearing down in here that the drive worm gear runs on. Okay, there are bushings up through here. Seal. There is a thrust washer in between the gear and this housing. My fear when we started taking this thing apart was that these bushings were going to be bad, and the thrust washer might be bad. Big problem is you cannot buy these parts new. You cannot get them from either Perkins or anyone else. Any dealer, Massey or Agco, whatever. Can't get them. That was really my big fear. Well, he got into it. Of course, to get this gear off the end of the shaft where you can pull this shaft, you have to take this front cover off right here. That's when he found that the cam gear was loose. Okay, cam got fixed. New key put in it. It was Loctited into the shaft, and the bolt was Loctited into the camshaft. Okay, and it is set correctly. On the injector pump, I sent it out and had it rebuilt. And the guy that rebuilt it, they're known for good quality work. Harry had put all new injector tips and rebuilt the injectors, reset them. So I knew there wasn't an issue there. When he put it together, this bearing under here looked like it had spun in the casting as well as on the shaft. So he said, if I pull it out, I'm putting a new one in. I said, I 100% agree. So it was changed. It was a little bit loose because he was able to pull it out with his fingers like this. Easy. Put the new one in, he had to take a hammer and tap it in. It was that snug a fit. So it's kind of, I know this area, the thrust washer is good, the bushings are good, he put a new seal in it, put the new bearing in it. This side was right. Now, saying all that, the fuel pump. This top, you can remove it, and there is a screen in there. But as Harry told me, on an old pump especially, if you pull that top off, the odds of getting it to seal back up is slim and none. Well, he pulled the top off, and it was just a cruddy mess from the old fuel tank that was in this. Now, you remember that one of the first things I did with this thing was change the fuel tank. All the lines got taken off and blown out, cleaned out. I discovered the steel line from about right here to here to the pump was really restricted. It had a lot of sediment in the line that was blocking it about half the flow. So I ended up trying to clean it out. It didn't work, so I cut it out. I put a piece of hose in it. But when he got into this pump and tried to pump it by hand, it didn't want to pump at all. It just would be right at the very top. You get just a little oof, 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 you know, up top. And he said if it were me, I'd put a new fuel pump on it. So I agreed. Had him put a new fuel pump in it. Okay, fast forward. Got the pump rebuilt. And got it put on the tractor. Fired it up the first time. We had a whole fiasco go around because the pump was timed to the engine being set at top dead center, not 28 degrees before top dead center. That was the issue with that. That's why I had to get that special tool to put the injector pump timing over there in time with it being top dead center over here. Okay, we got all that done. But it was still, and even Harry agreed, it wasn't running right. And he couldn't figure out why. So I got it home. I had pulled the injectors out of it, took them back down, and he tested them. They all tested fantastic. You know, just where they should be. Put them back in, still that way. The exhaust on it was so strong it would burn your eyes. I mean, it was like in the winter time. You guys know what I'm talking about, where guys would put a little bit of kerosene in with a diesel to make it run better. That's what it smelled like. That, you know, eye burning. Sorry, batteries died. But it was, you know, that smell was just really puzzling us both, because it was the same fuel in the tank that it drove in there with, and it didn't smell like that. So we were both really confused. And he agreed. It's not, something's not right. He couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. Well, I brought it home. Fooled with it a couple of times, little short jaunts here or there. Had an oil leak, and of course, you know, I had to have a hydraulic pump put in it. But still the engine's running off. You know, it's not right. So I take it to the field day 4 yesterday. And It wouldn't idle right. It was surging. It, up and down, up and down. But you could run it about 1600 RPM and it'd run pretty good. So I disked across the road. But it just, something on in the back of my head, something's not right. When I got done, it was a diesel running like a gas engine that plugs were fouled in. You know, pat, 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 pat. You know, doing that kind of crap. So I went down and seen Harry. And he came up yesterday afternoon to look at it. And the minute I started it up, and he said, man, that ain't right. He said, there's something wrong. I said, I agree. That's why you're here, you know. And he said, what have you done to it? And I said, well, this morning, before before I started up or did anything, I bled the injector pump. It had air in it. He said, how's it got air in it? I said, I don't know. So, he checked, takes filters loose over there. I pump here, get fuel, don't get fuel, and it's like, what's going on? So, came back, took the fuel line off to the pump, checked it, checked the flow out of the tank, checked the flow out of the line, took the line coming out of the pump out, took the other line up, opened the fuel up, and he got any fuel out of it. And when he pumped it, it was air. Well, long story short, the brand new pump that he put on was no good. And it was the cause of all the problems. Now, you're going to ask yourself, that's not a new pump. That's an old, cruddy looking pump there. And yes, it is. He left, he thought he had one on the shelf, went down there to get it, to discover it had been sold Friday. Today is Monday. Being it was in the field, he took this lift pump, fuel pump, lift pump, whatever you want to call it, off a used engine. Because they didn't have anything else. Brought it up and put it on. We bled the system out. And lo and behold, it fired up. It fired up and ran like a dream. It ran to the point of, if you'd have heard it before he changed that pump and heard it after, you'd have swore it was two different tractors. They special ordered two pumps in yesterday afternoon. I have said new pump to replace it with now. And hopefully this solves the problem that I've had from the get-go of getting the new injector pump put on. A new pump that was bad. That's my luck anyway. So, that's been Marty's problem, from the get-go of having the new injector pump put on, has been that new lift pump. I went from exhaust yesterday morning that would absolutely burn your eyes up to run the thing, to a tractor afterwards that just had diesel smoke, that didn't have that, burn your eyes to it. When I took it over in the field, he said run the piss out of it. You know, after I got it home from getting the pump put on. So really hadn't had a chance to work it hard. So I put it in 5th gear, high range, dropped the 14-foot disc in the ground and sent it wide open. I didn't get any smoke, and I thought that was really odd. It pulled it, but it just seemed to, I don't want to say really labor it, but it did. That was another thing I told him about, you know, the lack of any kind of smoke out of the thing, no matter how hard you pulled it. Even taking out on the road, putting it in 6th gear and starting off from a dead still start and just throttling her up, she wasn't smoking. And I thought that was really odd for a diesel, especially one of these. Now she'll roll cold. She runs really good. So I guess the task at hand is to change this pump. So I won't bore you on this video doing that. I'll put that in another video. So we now know what the problem was all along for the last month. Is a brand new lift pump, fuel pump that wasn't any good. You know, I thought about this whole thing. You know, from the fuel tank, the lines, to the pump, injector pump. I even wondered if the injector pump could have been messed up. Oh, turns out to be the new lift pump we put on that we thought was good. So anymore, like Harry said, anymore, just because it's new doesn't mean it's right. And I 100% agree with him now. So we got her figured out now, guys. So we'll see you next time. And as always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. All this month's worth of aggravation and questions that you can't answer is all because of a brand new fuel pump that was no good. What's the odds? You know, with me, that's my luck. So we'll see you next time, guys. And as always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.